Hello, I'm the Sonoran Desert Grower. Today we're going to be stacking all these buckets into a compost pile. So, pretty much wet the base and then start stacking stuff in there. So let's talk a little bit about composting and how to do it so that you're successful. This is something I get asked all the time. How do you compost? How do you compost? And it kind of depends on how much work you want to do. But let's go ahead and take a little time to cover some basic background of composting. So what I do is called the indoor method, INDORE. It was popularized by Sir Albert Howard. He is a huge dude in the modern organic growing farming movement, and he lived in India for a long time, and he actually spent some time in a little town called Indore, India. He had a dissertation, an agricultural testament, that came out in 1940, where he documented how the compost produced from this system, the indoor method, generated higher plant yield than other fertilizers. It's important to note that the villages in India, in Indore, India, they were using this system to compost their own human waste, animal waste, and all other organic materials the village was producing. So this is important to keep in mind, because this is part of the reason it works so well, and it was all based on temperatures, and it's the best way to compost manure and large amounts of materials quickly and safely, so that you're not getting different E. coli and Salmonella strains surviving the composting process. So what is the indoor method? It's basically, it comes down to 4 components, and it's all based around what do microorganisms need to break things down. So the first is carbon, often referred to as brown or dry materials because they are high in carbon. The microbial oxidation process, how the microorganisms get energy, produces the heat in the compost pile. So this is triggered by the carbon that we're adding. The second thing is nitrogen, often referred to as green or wet materials because they are high in nitrogen. The microorganisms need nitrogen-rich materials in order to grow and reproduce their colonies. The more their population grows, the more carbon they can oxidize, and the more original materials begin to decompose. The oxygen is the third element, and it's necessary for microbial oxidation of carbon to occur in the decomposition process. And then the fourth thing is water. It helps maintain microbial activity if applied in the right amount. It's important to keep aerobic conditions. We don't want things going anaerobic and bad microorganisms taking over our pile. By adding these 4 elements at the correct ratios, we can farm beneficial microorganisms which will break down our pile and fertilize our garden. So the first step to get a compost pile going is to stack or build in layers. First, we need a 3-inch layer of brown material. So it's going to be the carbon-rich materials like hay, weeds, leaves, paper, dried stalks, and plants. Like let's say you're done harvesting your amaranth, your sunflower, your okra, your corn. All that stuff is going to be in that first 3-inch layer. Second, we're going to go with a 2-inch layer of green materials, which could be manures, it could be vegetables, fruits, and some food scraps. And then third, we repeat step 1 and 2 to stack the pile as high as possible. You need at least 3 cubic feet of mass of material to get the microorganisms working for you, to get the pile to heat up. So once we stack in that 3 cubic feet of material, what we're going to do is we're going to turn the pile or flip the pile, and we can add new materials if necessary. So you can do this with a pitchfork or a shovel like I'm doing. You might need a rake so you can get all the materials evenly mixed. You're going to wet the materials as being shown in the video that appear to be dry. It's important to not drench the pile, but you want to make sure it's moist like a well wrung out sponge. And then we stack the layers again and add new materials to the pile as needed. So why do temperatures matter? High temperatures help destroy pathogenic organisms and weed seeds in our compost pile. This is called thermophilic composting, the cultivation of heat-loving microorganisms like bacteria and fungi that create an environment where disease organisms that may exist in our manure inputs are destroyed. There are several classes of microorganisms that live in our compost pile. They're categorized by the temperature in which they thrive, and we'll briefly cover them here. So the first class of microorganisms is the psychrophiles. They exist within 59 degrees Fahrenheit and below. These are low temperature microorganisms. They're present when we first build our pile and when our pile is thoroughly cured. E. coli and salmonella can live at these temperatures if it's not composted right. A composted pile would most likely have earthworms and other soil-building organisms when it's in the psychrophile phase. The second phase is the mesophile phase. This is between 68 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit. These microorganisms live at a medium temperature, and they help set the stage for the thermophile to take over the decomposition process. E. coli and salmonella can live at these temperatures as well. So we're basically trying to go for the thermophile microorganisms, the thermophilic phase. And this is temperatures above 113 degrees. These microorganisms live at the highest temperature in our compost pile. But anything above 160 degrees Fahrenheit is the range of hyperthermophiles, and it is too hot for composting purposes. So we want to keep it between 113 and 160. Usually piles are averaging around 140 if you stack it the way that I'm talking about. E. coli and salmonella are destroyed at these temperatures. We want our active compost piles to maintain this temperature range in order to kill pathogens and break down materials faster. This is diatomaceous earth. I'm gonna sprinkle it on here.